Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another Battle for Azeroth video. Today we have a very exciting one that I'm really pumped about making for you guys. We're gonna be deep diving into the Havoc Demon Hunter complete rework. This is one of the biggest reworks on the alpha, and I want to talk to you guys about pretty much everything that's going on with the Havoc Demon Hunter in the very first parts of the alpha. Okay, so this is a huge subject to change. In fact, I've been playing Demon Hunter since it was first basically available to you guys. Throughout the Legion Alpha at the very first stages, even at BlizzCon in I think 2016 or something like that, or maybe even 2015. And there has been so many reworks for this class and this spec in particular, and now we're in a position where we have another one, and I want to show you guys everything that's going on, and pretty much talk about everything from back to front. Okay, so I'm just going to show you the abilities that have changed and some of the things that are just going on that's different from Legion. And then we're going to talk about the talents, which is the most important part because the talents are very different. There's a whole lot going on there. Okay, so very first up, we're going to be talking about the talents. The abilities, and there's really not a whole lot that's different except for there's a couple different things that are important. I do want to talk about that, okay? The very first one I want to talk about is Imprison is now on a 1 minute cooldown. Okay, so I think before it was I think it was a 15-second cooldown and 30-second with detainment in the PvP talents. And now it's a flat 1 minute cooldown, which means you're not going to be able to imprison that often. Not really a crazy change, but this is actually synonymous with the monk class. Windwalkers also have their paralysis on a 1 minute cooldown. So for balancing purposes, I'm sure it makes sense to do that across the board. I don't really know what the whole reasoning for that was. The only thing I can really think of is like PvP, but honestly, PvP changes the cooldowns based on their detainment, so I don't really know what the reasoning is behind that. Second up, we have Torment for the Havoc Demon Hunter spec. So a lot of the melee classes throughout the other parts of the game, Windwalker Monk, I don't even know off the top of my head, I'm like blanking, but regardless, a lot of these melee classes have all gotten their taunt specs, so I think even Arms Warrior has it. And Havoc Demon Hunter now has Torment as well, so you can actually taunt a target to you. And then we have a brand new ability. It's a passive ability, and I think this is really cool for Demon Hunters in terms of raid utility and Mythic Dungeon utility. So you can actually empower your teammates, however many. You can actually, every time you hit a target, it brands this target. For 1 minute, it increases magic damage taken by 5%, which is a lot. Like 5% is a whole lot of damage to be taken in. And how this works is seriously, you can go into a mass mob of 10 different mobs that you're going to be fighting, right? 10 different trash mobs. And you can hit Blade Dance on all of them, and every single one will have this debuff. It's not just singular with one specific target. It's a pretty cool ability, and it's definitely going to bring a lot of utility for bringing Demon Hunters because you're going to have this Chaos brand, and it's going to empower your raid to do more damage. So Demon Hunters are going to be more useful in the upcoming expansion for raiding. Similar to how like a lot of these classes are getting Power Word 4, even maybe Mark of the Wild, Arcane Intellect, and so on and so forth. Now we're going to jump into the talents, and this is where it gets really crazy, and there's a lot changing in here, okay? So there are changes. I mean, like Fel Barrage is on the 102 tier. We have Immolation Aura as a Havoc Demon Hunter. I'm just going to walk you guys through this step by step. All right, so the 99 tier, it's actually the same. So we have Demonic Appetite, we have Fell Blade, and we have Blind Fury. Okay, so it's actually not the same. Demonic Appetite wasn't. I think Demonic Appetite was actually here where Immolation Aura is now, just off the top of my head. But basically, you can choose between Blind Fury and also Demonic Appetite, which is very interesting because basically the Antorus tier, the way Havoc Demon Hunter DPS worked, was like based on these two. Like Blind Fury would help your I-beams reset a little bit more. You would get more damage out of your I-beam. You would generate Fury to be able to hit Chaos Strikes, and also, if you had the helmet, you could use Blind Fury to your advantage. And then having that in combination with Demonic Appetite to reset your I-beam, it was actually a really solid synergy. So I'm surprised that they did this, putting these both on the same tier. But regardless, you are able to basically choose what you want to out of this, how you want to build your Fury. And that is going to be, I'm choosing Blind Fury. My build is mainly over Demonic and AoE damage, so I'm choosing Blind Fury. Something to note, guys, is that Fell Blade actually generates 50 Fury now, as opposed to I think 30 from before. It's a pretty significant change, and all these work the exact same. Okay, so next up we have the 100 tier. We have Insatiable Hunger, which is a brand new talent. Basically, Demon's Bite generates up to 10 additional Fury. So this was made pretty much to mimic the legendary ring from Havoc Demon Hunters. And it basically just means that if you choose to use Demon's Bite, you're going to generate more Fury. And a lot of these talents are really subject, like I don't know which one's the best. A lot of these are just based on the numbers, and kind of it's already built into the playstyle. It doesn't change it too much. So having all these different ones, all these different changes that all like build Fury on this tier, like all of these build Fury. I don't know which one's the best one. All I can do is guess for now since I'm in the alpha. I don't have like Simcraft or anything. We have Demon's Blades, which is a 60% chance. I think it was 50 on the regular servers, but now it's a 60% chance, just like it was in the very beginning of the game. And then Immolation Aura, which is really, really cool. You have this just like Vengeance. It's the exact same thing. It radiates damage to all targets around you and does that initial burst damage, but it also builds 80 Fury. So basically every 25 seconds, based on your haste, you can actually generate a large amount of Fury and do AoE damage. This is what I'm choosing for my AoE damage. And the 102 tier, we have a brand new talent called Trail of Ruin, which synergizes with First Blood. How this works is every time you use your Blade Dance on a target or multiple targets, after the Blade Dance is over, it will leave a dot for 4 seconds on that enemy or enemies. And that's pretty cool. I think Fel Barrage is the best one. Fel Barrage used to be down here where Momentum is, but now we have Fel Barrage in the 102 tier. And then we have Fel Mastery, which increases Fel Rush damage by 100% now. Unfortunately, 100% of 470 is 1,040, and that's really not that much. So I think the 14,000 you get every 1 minute for Fel Barrage is really, really good. 14,000 damage on the BFA Alpha is really, really a lot. So that's why I'm choosing it. And you don't actually have to target anyone anymore. It works on an 8-yard radius. You can just press Fel Barrage, and it will hit every single target around you for 8 yards. And I think that's really great. Okay, moving on from that, Soul Rending got a little bit of a nerf, but this tier is the exact same. Soul Rending and the leech you get from Metamorphosis is significantly reduced. You only get 20% leech now, as opposed to however much you would get before. I think it was like 50 or 75 or 70 or something crazy. Nothing's really changed otherwise in this tier, so I'm not going to talk about too much. The 106 tier is completely changed. We have 2 new talents. The first one is going to be called Cycle of Hatred. Okay, so Cycle of Hatred is basically mimicking the Delusions of Grandeur legendary, where you reduce your Metamorphosis cooldown based on the Fury you spend. The same thing works here, except for it's how many Chaos Strikes you're able to get off. You reduce your Metamorphosis by 3 seconds. So basically you're getting faster Metamorphosis. Maybe this will be better for a single target spec with Nemesis, and this will somehow, synergize really well. Moving on from that, we have First Blood, which is pretty much the same thing. There's really no changes there. Just makes your Blade Dance do more damage. That's what I choose for bigger AoE damage. And then we have Dark Slash, which is a brand new talent. And Dark Slash, what it does is basically you use it every 20 seconds, and there will be a debuff on your target that has increased Chaos Strike damage to this target, right? So it's more of a single target thing. It's a shorter cooldown, so faster rotation. And I don't think this costs Fury. Let me just check real quick. I'm pretty sure it doesn't, but... Okay, so yeah, it doesn't cost any Fury. So the idea is you would build all your Fury up, you would use Dark Slash, and you'd use as many Chaos Strikes as you can in 8 seconds and have 40% extra damage. So that's how those talents work. Moving on from that, we have Unused Power. Removes the... It's the exact same. Removes the Fury cost of Chaos Nova and reduces the cooldown by 33%. We have Master of the Glaive, which does not give you 2 stacks of Throw Glaive anymore. It only has 1 stack. But it does continue to snare all enemies hit by it for 50%. And we have Fel Eruption, which is what I'm currently using, and it actually stuns your one target for 4 seconds as opposed to the 2 seconds I think it did before. So it's really nice that got a buff, and the reason this got a buff was actually because Chaos Nova was changed completely. So when you use Chaos Nova, here, I'll bring it up in the spellbook for you guys. A Chaos Nova no longer stuns targets in an AoE fashion. It actually disorients targets in an AoE. It says damage will cancel this effect, but for some reason, I don't know if it's a bug. Like, when I use Chaos Nova on a lot of targets, like, the Disorient doesn't break because I'm doing damage to them. So I don't know if that's intended or not, but it is nice to see a little bit of extra CC coming out with Chaos Nova. And this does also continue to give you your Lesser Soul Fragments. So you still can get a little bit of health back, but you don't even have the resets for the I-Beams or Chaos Nova with those Soul Fragments. So it's kind of a bummer. And last but not least, we have the 110 tier. We have Demonic, Momentum, and Nemesis. Demonic is the exact same. Nemesis is the exact same. I want to talk about Momentum. So Momentum has a lot of different changes. The first thing I want to talk about is the fact that it actually gives you 15% damage increased for 6 seconds, as opposed to, I think it was like 20% for 4 seconds. So it's a little bit more sustained damage, and it gives you 6 or 2 extra seconds, and gives you 6 seconds in total, which is really a lot better for the overall damage increase that you can get. And also they have baked the prepared talent straight into momentum. So when you use your Vengeful Retreat on a target, it generates 100 fury over 10 seconds and is very, very useful. It also reduces the cooldown of your Vengeful Retreat. Okay, so basically my talents are going to be these. This is what I think is best for AoE focus damage. I also think Momentum is very possible because of how much Fury that can build. I think it's really good. But I haven't quite figured it out, and I'm really not sure what is the best quite yet. And that's to be determined. You know, all this stuff can really change. You know, with this gameplay, like, I do want to talk about a couple things with the Demon Hunter. The very first one is the fact that, like, not being able to reset your I-Beam and your Chaos Nova, it feels a little bit like it doesn't. I thought that was one of the most enjoyable parts of the Demon Hunter whenever playing Demonic Spec. So not having that, I think it makes it feel a little bit kind of stale and makes you feel like at some points your class just feels really weak throughout your rotation. Like sometimes you just feel like you can only Demon's Bite and Chaos Blade. And I don't know if that's really a good thing to do. There are definitely a lot more buttons to press with Demon Hunter, and the skill cap has definitely increased based on what spec you play. Like Immolation Aura, having, you know, Fel Barrage, being able to Chaos Nova at the correct times, having Fel Eruption on top of that, and then all being on lower cooldown. And if you were playing Momentum, having Vengeful Retreat to manage, Blade Dance to manage, Fel Rush to manage, all those, like, you're basically using all your abilities. The only thing is like, one, you don't have Fury of the Illidari, so you are losing out on that. But to compensate for that lesser Soul Fragment resets on your I-Beam and Chaos Nova, they've reduced the cooldown on I-Beam to 30 seconds from 45 seconds. So, you know, take that as what you want. And they've also added this interesting mechanic where you actually have 100% increased damage on your primary target. So I think that is aimed at making I-Beam a single target spell, because no Demon Hunters would really ever use I-Beam throughout 2/3 of the expansion, because when you're on single target fights, you never really use it. Even in Arena, like if you're fighting one target, you really don't I-Beam them straight up. That's not like damage efficient. So regardless, you know, that's pretty much all the specs that, or all the overall changes for Demon Hunter. I'm going to be doing a lot more of a deep dive once this spec is like finalized in the beta. This is basically my first impressions and like my quick, like just understanding of the spec. After, you know, playing it for 7 hours on the alpha. But, you know, I hope you guys enjoyed this. What I'm actually going to do is throw up some leveling footage for you guys to watch. Just a couple minutes worth, just so you can keep up to, like, just a little bit understand how it works. And then I will definitely be doing more stuff with the Havoc Demon Hunter as I make more videos on the alpha. So be sure to be tuned. If there is a class you want to learn about, be sure to put that down in the comments below. But I will see you guys at the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching.
It's too far away. I can't attack that target. I can't attack that.
Bone's gonna serve us well.
I need to get closer. I'm out of range.
Blood! Blood! Blood!
Too far away.
Don't be shy. You be careful, man.
Alright guys, that does sum it up for today's video. Thank you very much for watching once again. I really appreciate it. Be sure to hit a thumbs up on this video if you did enjoy this and you got some value out of it. And you can also leave a comment down below with what you think about the Havoc Demon Hunter spec and how the rework has shaped up the spec for all you players out there who do play Havoc Demon Hunter. But outside of that, guys, you know, I've really enjoyed this, and I hope to continue doing this for more of you guys. So be sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not yet, and you will keep up to date with all of the Battle for Azeroth videos that I've been putting out. I've been putting out 2 a day, trying to work very hard for you guys, keep this up, and do as much as I possibly can. So thank you very much for all your support, and I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good one.